T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Ho, 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 you filthy animals out there. Merry Trapmas! What is good, everybody? I'm your boy MJ. Welcome to the Trapmas episode of the Trap Talk Podcast. I'm your boy MJ. This is your first time tapping in. What is good? Seriously, Merry Christmas out there, man. I hope everyone is having a good evening. I just want to say, first and foremost, shout out to my wife, my amazing wife out there, who's literally said, you really have to do a podcast on Christmas? I was like, yeah, I mean, no, but I'd be sick if I can. She's like, all right, go ahead. So what a wife, right? So first and foremost, man, thank you to my wife. And again, shout out to anyone out there who's had an amazing Christmas. And if you didn't have a great Christmas, I hope this tapping in tonight will make it better. But yeah, seriously, man, shout out all my subscribers out there. If this is your first time tapping in, do your boy a favor. One of my biggest goals for this year was to hit 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm 46 subscribers away from that. What a goal. Man, please help me out. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. You'll be on top of every single podcast I drop here on this YouTube channel. Shout out to everyone who tapped in last episode. Shit, 200 people in the building. That was amazing. Shout out to Donnie. Had an amazing episode. A lot of great feedback, I must say. So thank you to everyone who tapped in for that. But yeah, before we kind of get into things tonight, I do want to dedicate and say that tonight's episode is brought to you by Redline Shipping. Shout out to my boy Robin Markland and the entire Redline Shipping company, the entire team over at Redline. Please, guys, if you aren't really dedicated to any shipping company, I got to tell you right now, Redline's the way to go, man. Their dedication as far as customer service goes, second to none. Robin's been in the game for longer than, for a long time. I don't know the exact, year to year compared to everyone else, but I know Robin for sure. His experience in the shipping game in the industry, as far as the reptile industry goes, nothing but great things to say about my man Robin. And ever since I've been using Redline Shipping, I've never had an issue. So thank you, Robin. Appreciate your love and support, all the hard work over at Redline Shipping. I'm telling you right now, 2023, the Redline Shipping takeover is real. Go follow them on Instagram. Go to redlineshipping.com. Once weather is good, even if weather is good, I would chill right now on shipping. I mean, it gets this crazy. Shit could easily get lost right now. So just mind your shipping when you're shipping, But when you ship, Redline Shipping. Thank you, Robin. Appreciate your love and support. I do want to say shout out to all the early birds, man. Listen, I know it's Christmas, but I got people in the building. I already got a super chat. Don't be shy with the super chats. If you're looking to support what I do, and I want to say thank you to all the love, man, okay, let's just talk about Patreon members. I love my Patreon members, my Patreon family. Thank you so much for all your love and support. But if you're looking for exclusive content, if you're looking to get tapped into a Discord with over 150 dedicated trappers, if you want to talk about different species, all sorts of stuff, man, then you want to go down to the very top link in the description below. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Start your 2023 off right, man. Join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Once you become a part of the family, you get a link to the Discord. The Discord taps you in with over, like I said, 150 people in the game, the trap game. And thank you so much to all my loyal Patreon members, even my past Patreon members. I don't even boot my past Patreon members out of Discord, man. They just kick it because they're forever family. Any ounce of support, man, I love it so much. Even if you just tap in, man, even a simple super chat. Love all the super chats, man, but drop a super chat if you have a question for Bryan Suson. I'm not joking, man. When it comes to tree monitors, I want to be this guy someday, man. And I'm not even joking. This guy's game is like it's gonna be awesome. But we also gonna tap into his gecko stuff, man. I couldn't pick a better guest for the last Holy Monitor segment of 2022. So it's going to be an amazing time. But guys, yeah, if you want to see what I have going on, also other than podcast stuff, if you want to see what I'm working with species-wise and what projects I do have going in my favor, which is probably just ball pythons, then go to Instagram, follow me, TrapGod619. Appreciate all my followers. And go follow the podcast's page as well, the Trap Talk Podcast on Instagram. Go follow me and like my shit on Facebook, dog. Let's go. Seriously, I'm becoming a lot more Facebook friendly. Can you believe it? Let's go, guys. If you're on Facebook, look me up, the Trap Talk Podcast. Watch my shit on there. I appreciate all the love and support. Really, means a lot. And yeah, man, who is here ready to rock and roll? Let's see who's in the early birds. Who's prolific? Python's homie, Aaron Letterbetter. Merry Christmas, dog. Thanks for being here. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Golan's Demons. Merry Christmas, dog. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Chantel in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Constrictor Connection. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Joshua Stover. What's up, player? I got, look at this. I've been getting a lot of this. See, this is what I'm talking about from last podcast. MJ, I've got to say, you've changed my opinion on Mr. Rapture. Thank you for that, bro. Well, listen, Josh, thank you for having an open mind. Thank you for being your own, force of judgment on how you see things. Don't let, definitely don't let bottom feeders make your judgment. That's for damn sure. But shout out to my boy, Joshua Stover, for being a real one and definitely being a big supporter. My homie, Sunshine State, Soulverse. What's up, Wes? Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Deviant Glass in the building. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The Misty Rainforest. I hope it's misty today. What is good? Look at this. My boy, man. This guy always sets the tone. He's a super chat king. I ain't even gonna lie. It's my boy, Ricky Bobby, SRT. Man, have a beautiful Christmas, Shane. I appreciate you so much. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. Big things in the work for my boy in 2023. Go give him a follow above all scales on Instagram. And yeah, man, this fool's not playing around. I'm telling you, to the top. Eric's More Factory. What is good? Thanks for tapping in. Jamie, Pico Pythons. What is up? Thanks for tapping in. Elite Exotics Pythons. What's up? Thanks for tapping in. Jacob, my dog. Letter Better Fetter. Thank you for tapping in. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. By the way, Elite Exotics, I'm so sorry. Trap Talk Patreon member all day, every day. The homie Wilcox Reptiles. The homie Jonathan in the building. Thanks for tapping in. The homie Bosa Balls. What's up, Aaron? Thanks for tapping in. Jake, my bad. The homie Jack BP's in the building. What's up? We even got a Twitch viewer in the building. Damn, we got Twitch in the house tonight. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks for being the Twitch viewer. Buckeye Morphs. What's up, Buckeye Morphs? Oh, here's a homegirl, Lindsay. What's up, Lindsay? Merry Christmas, my homegirl, Lindsay. Appreciate you so much. Python Junkie in the building. What is girl good? Earl's Exotics. What's up, Earl? Thanks for tapping in. The homie right here, Father Blue. This fool's sick as fuck. Thanks for tapping in. This fool literally served me up with some amazing water dish perch holders. He's giving me more. And honestly, this guy right here, this guy has some awesome, also has an amazing tree monitor game out of New York. So I'm going to be doing we're going to got some future stuff lined up for me and the homie Father Blue. Go give a follow on Instagram for now, though, if you guys don't mind. Shout out to the homie. Robbie, listen, cannot say that this episode isn't also brought to you by the Reptile Super Show happening in just less than 2 weeks. Where are we at? We're on the fucking Christmas, obviously, right? But what? We have not this Friday, but the next Friday. Holy shit. It's about to go down. Damn, who's ready for this? The Reptile Super Show. I'm going to be vending for the very first time, especially if there's any Bob Smiths out there that want to find me. Well, guess what? I'll have a booth. I'll be right there. Not hard to find whatsoever. Right there, MJ in the flesh. I will have some animals available too, but mostly I'm going to have a podcast booth set up. I'm going to have some amazing guests lined up. So go by, check me out. Reptile Super Show. Okay, I'm going to be right next to the homie Matthew Summers. MSR, his first time vending as well. Right across from us, all the homies. We have Antoine Hood, Andrew from Redwood. We have Troy from Best Dressed Balls. Oh, man, just to name a few, okay? It's going to be an amazing time. So do not sleep on this show. The Reptile Super Show. It's going to take over. Let's go. Rami, I'm excited, buddy. All right. I think I'm going to end it with Rami just because Rami's so player. And, yeah, let's go. Guys, make sure you go give Rami, the Reptile Super Show, a follow on Instagram. And just be ready because, like I said, big things popping here in the near future, less than 2 weeks. Guys, it's about that time to get things started. Like I said, this is the last Holy Monitor segment of 2022. I got to say shout out to everyone who's been tapping in on these awesome lizard segments on Sunday. But we're going to get things rolling just as heavy in 2023. And why not end it with somebody like Bryan Suson. Okay, so let's go. Strap up. This is game time. Merry Trapmas, ladies and gentlemen. But here we go. Episode 282. Bryan Suson, Sundown Reptiles. Chee!
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasters?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
The man, the myth, the legend, the tree monitor, Santa Claus. It is Bryan Suson, Sundown Reptiles. What's up, dog?
What's up, man? What's going on? Good to be on here again. Thank you for having me. Thanks to everybody coming on. Dude, your energy is so good. I love it. It's one of your greatest assets with this whole thing. It's beautiful.
Thanks, man. Honestly, I have a couple things that get me pumped up. Even if it's not a guest, I'm not too pumped up for. Which I try to stay pumped up for all guests, but I'm not gonna lie. There's just some guests I'm just like, like fuck. I hope this goes well. But the live chats, people in the live chats, people who are so excited. I'm talking like 3-4 hours before the show's even started. There's people like, I can't wait for this episode. That's how I know, regardless how I feel, there's people excited for the guests, and that's what makes my energy match to it. But I have people in the chats. I have, like I said, one of my favorite tree monitors in the game right in front of me. This is a great time, and it's Christmas, man. Literally, I had one of the best Christmases ever. I hope you did, man. I hope everything's going well. I hope you had a great day. I do got to say, we were, me and Bryan were just chopping it up a little bit because I have some big moving pieces on my end. A couple things I can't talk about, but one thing I can talk about right now is I bought a house. Me and my wife bought a house. Super stoked. We should be getting the keys next week, if escrow closes and all that works out. But, it was a struggle to find a house in this fucking area. It was, man, boy, did we have the plan to just go ahead and go to Georgia maybe, or Texas, or somewhere with some land.
I was hoping
yeah,
you were from the Southeast, but
man,
man, you did the right thing.
Yeah, listen, we made it happen. And listen, family was the biggest thing that was keeping us here. And, to kind of, you sacrificed it on your end, because at that point in time when you picked North Carolina, I think you talked about this in the first podcast, but can you remind me how old you were when you said, fuck it, I'm going to move to North Carolina and start this dynasty?
Oh, shit. Well, that would have been, I was 33 when I moved out here. But yeah, I mean, I'm 40 now.
Oh man, I thought you were younger than that, bro.
In October, so it was the big birthday. But yeah, man, that was one of the hardest things ever, was moving out of Illinois. Just because, like, I was ready for it on a professional level, but it's so hard leaving family and friends. It really is. So I feel your pain, and I think you did the right thing with staying with your family and proximity. That's important. It means a lot, even though I didn't. Kind of feel like an asshole for that, but what are you gonna do?
You didn't want to move to good old Indianapolis?
Indiana, I passed through. I would not move there personally, but I was Northern Illinois, so that's where all the family is. But those winters, man. I needed a milder winter. I needed a place that I lived where I felt I didn't need to vacation from. And, you know, it all worked out. So.
Yeah, I mean, how are your winters as of now? Like, what do you deal with as far as lately during this time of year?
Yesterday I had frozen pipes. It was
Whoa.
-4 at night, which is not common. So
Whoa.
it's pretty mild. Like this next week, it's going to be back up in the 60s. So we had that little cold snap that came through, but generally, you know, we get some pretty mild winters.
I mean, okay, let's talk about the reality of that really happening anywhere around the United States. I mean, I just recently talked about what Texas went through a couple of years ago. I don't know what stuff that you could kind of help people prepare for if they're not prepared for something to like that. If your pipes freeze, like what would you, in your case, you would need to do or something like that?
All right. Number one, this will probably be the most important thing I say in this entire podcast. I'm gonna right out the gates. If you have, especially if you're doing this as a business, you have to invest in a quality generator.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody deal with something like what happened in Texas and people are losing their collections. I mean, first and foremost, you and your family's health and safety is number one. But if you've got a collection that is valuable, which, you know, most of your viewers do, you got to get some sort of generator. And I would highly recommend, you know, going big. They're expensive, but getting an automatic generator that kicks on at Generac. That's what I have. And so if there's an issue, power outage, that thing's kicking on. It's worth the money. If you have, you know, if you're spending a couple grand on a gecko or a monitor or a snake, I don't care what it is, you need to invest in a powerful generator that's going to take care of you. It's one of the best insurance plans you can have, because in the reptile game, unless somebody knows, if somebody out there has an insurance agent that will insure your reptiles,
good luck.
Let me know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you know, it's crazy because I've taken a lot of notes. Like, you know, whenever I go to these facilities and do like, you know, these goddamn vlogs, I'm going to obviously picking places that have fucking a facility I want to look at. Like they have something that they've been doing, they're established, like a Canova, for instance, right? And I just go, oh my God, you know, like I take notes and obviously some people at that level could do extreme costing things. But one of the things that always stand out to me, that's like, fuck, you better be ready to buy something like this, because this is all that really matters is a generator. Like, you know, obviously depending where you live, like here's the thing. I had to deal with, I think like 3 unplanned power outages this year. And I was like, what? And it was during summer because how hot it got. So it really wasn't the end of the world for the snakes, but I just had eggs that just would drop to like the low 80s, which still isn't really like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still, like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, if you live in an area that gets really cold or has the potential to get really cold, then it's a smart idea. I mean, even like people in Texas, like I was talking with Don Church, and he, you know, he's got a really serious collection. And, you know, he never thought in a million years that he would have, you know, that cold snap that hit Texas like that. And he was, I don't know if he was one of the first people producing lace monitors, but I know that, you know, this was years back. When did that happen? That big cold snap that hit Texas?
2 years ago. It was, well, going on 3 years in February. So once February comes, 3 years. So 3 years ago. Yeah.
Well, I was talking with Don. I mean, and he had a majority of his lace monitors outside. You know, he kept them outside. So, you know, and now he's got a generator. I'll tell you that.
Shit.
Yeah.
Now, first and foremost, how'd your year go with your projects? Let's kind of talk about, you know, I mean, I don't know. I hate that I just want to talk about the tree monitors. I'm not going to lie, but I also I'm curious about how much production happened on the gecko side of things. And if we can kind of tap into the foundation gecko projects that you are standing on today, you know?
Yeah. So you want to start geckos or monitors?
Yeah, no, geckos. Because I want to end with, it's like, you know, having that side dish and then you're going to end with a nice fucking filet mignon. You know what I mean? So that's
for you.
Doing it for me, right?
Yeah. Geckos were great. I work with a lot of like basically for those who don't know my gecko interests, it's mostly New Caledonian and Australian species. I've been working with, so there's some of the kahua right there.
Oh my God.
Known, for those quite a bit. I've got a really nice collection of those. Those are kind of, aside from the tree monitors, those were the species that I'm kind of most known for, those and spiny tail geckos. But I've got a bunch of really nice lychees and gargs. But it was a great season. I mean, with the kahua there, I produced a good number of high quality animals. And this next year, 2023 is going to be an insane year. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing on there is going to be breeding. Those are some gargs there that I kind of had up to move. But some of my holdback gargs are insane, double, triple as much red as that.
How's this market, the gargoyle market, compared to the chahuas and whatnot? Like what's going on with that?
Gargs have always been very interesting because you have some diehard keepers out there who realize what's up with gargs. And for me, I love them. I've kept gargs since day one. And they're not as popular as crested geckos. Crested geckos produce a lot more than gargoyles do. So your productivity is a little bit lower with gargs. It is lower. But there's not as many morphs as there are in the crested world for both the gargs and the kahua. So they're kind of like the stepchild, but they've been gaining a lot of good popularity. There's more kahua, more holdbacks.
Bro, you're just flexing fucking all day with these, dog. These are so sick.
You have to, it's that's the component. It's like I secretly hate social media. But when you're doing this as a business, and social media is one of the biggest outlets for getting your name out there and your animals for people to see what you're working with and producing, it's a necessary evil. So I do flex with it. I wish I didn't have to, but
what are the prices of something?
Get it.
What are the prices of something like this? I'm curious.
Crazy. That's crazy stuff. That's the type. Those on my hand are not for sale. So stuff like that in the past.
What if I was from Korea and I had a fat ass bag and I was like, we were kind of cool, but like, let's just say you're at a show, and what would you say to me? Come on. I'm Korean. Come on.
What I'll say is I know of 2 animals personally, kahua, that sold for over 30K a piece.
So you'll take 40 for one? If I had 40 right now?
For those, I wouldn't.
Damn, player. Are we talking like closer to 50 or 60?
You got to keep in mind, MJ, those are breeders. So I've been raising those up, and I already released the animals that I still didn't want to let go. But for me to let go a breeder like that, those are all going to be animals that are breeding this coming season. So even if you threw, let's say you threw 60 at me, okay?
Yeah. It
would be smarter for me to keep the animal and get offspring this season, the next season, and within 2 seasons with one of those animals, potentially. You never know what can happen. We're selling luxury goods. Nobody needs a gecko. Nobody needs a monitor. So long as the economy is strong and people have excess money, sometimes you get folks who want to throw big numbers out. But I try to offer a lot of stuff that is of similar quality to those, but is like a step down. And I offer some stuff that's like a few steps down, that if people trust what I tell them in buying them, you're going to produce animals that are the same quality as those. But a lot of people don't trust you when you say that. And with good reason. Crested geckos, you can have 2 phenomenal cresteds. And just because you pair up these 2 baller crested geckos, it doesn't always mean that you're gonna get insane offspring. And with some of these pairings of kahua that I have, they've proven to be extremely consistent. Even if you have lower expression offspring from these animals, they can produce really high-end stuff.
So I've had people and I don't know how much of this is actually fucking accurate, how this goes, but people give me offers on my adult female chondros sometimes. Some people have been following me, And I always think of a price like here that you just go fuck yourself, right? And just to get them off my back. And I only think of that because, like you said, like first and foremost, it took me 5 years to 6 years, if that, to get this thing to where I feel like it's the right size. I mean, you know, the chondro game. We don't have to get into that. You know what I mean? You know how that is. So that's why I felt reasonable behind, like, okay, if you're ever going to want something like this price is going to be something you're not going to want to hear, but to me, this is what it's worth. And that's that. But how much when it comes to, you know, and that's because what the chondros could do to you, they could fucking destroy you. And what's up the story with these? Like, how is it establishing, getting to that point of breeding the egg? Like, is this anything like a chondro? Or is this nothing like a chondro?
No, there's nothing like a chondro.
Okay. I got to make sure.
These are a lot more durable. I mean, a lot of the new Caledonian species of geckos are super durable. They can be very prolific. The kahua are not as prolific, again, as a crested. You know, I'd say maximum, if you get the high end, 4 clutches of eggs and 2 eggs per clutch a season is really good. But you could get, you know, up to, you know, 2 to 3 clutches is more normal for those. And you can buy animals that are in that, you know, 2,500 to 2,500 and up range that's going to produce stuff of similar quality and creeping up to the quality of those animals that were on my hand there.
So at the end of the day, where are we at with like you having availability on hatchings on stuff like this? Is it available every year or is it limited?
Yes. Okay. I always hold back, and, you know, as any breeder should, if you're, again, doing this as a business or a serious hobbyist, you always got to hold back your best stuff. Because
God bless that. That should be like a rule, especially if you're like just starting. You'd be stupid not to do that, right?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you're selling to your competitors. So it always kind of catches me too. And, you know, like, I understand the whole wanting deals. I get it. I do the same thing. But at the end of the day, lots of times when you're selling stuff to other breeders, it depends. Like, if somebody's at your level, like if you have crazy chondros and I've got crazy chondros, and I'm not selling you a game-changing snake, it really doesn't matter. I can hook you up more than someone who's starting out and is going to end up with serious quality and immediately going to become your competitor. So there's a difference in that. But it's interesting too, because if you think about like what dog breeders do, because I've been looking at potentially getting a new dog, and you know, you want to get a dog pet only, $2,500 if you're going to a breeder, let's say,
right?
And you want to breed it, okay, that's $5,000 to $7,500. We don't have that in the reptile world, which is kind of interesting, because it is like we just sell to a lot of our competitors, and when people ask for deals with that stuff, lots of times it's like selling you an animal, you're getting quality stock, and then you're going to be coming for me.
Yeah. So it's funny you said that, because back in the day when I was, you know, just selling a lot of stuff on Craigslist and whatnot, like, and just this is like when, I mean, I got to say definitely before Morph Market, not that Morph Market wasn't out. I just wasn't using it. I just wasn't really put on game with it. I just, you know, figured Craigslist would work, and I wouldn't put prices up. I would tell them the price as they would inquire. Right. And I would always just thought too, like, well, I mean, you know, first and foremost, do I want, like, I need to sell the snake, and at the end of the day, I do want the snake just to go to someone who cares about it, right? And you know, there's just certain snakes I would give a certain discount to if it's a pet to them versus a breeder. You know what I mean? I always thought of that. But you know, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that the reptile world is behind on. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't know if we're ever gonna blossom into the things we need to catch up on. Who knows? I don't fucking know, but I do know like the dog game and other games are kind of like ahead of the curve on some things, you know?
Yeah. And somebody, I just saw Joshua in the comments just mentioned, how would you enforce breeding rights with reptiles? I don't know. I guess you would have to talk to the dog people and see what they do. I mean, it like involves
it's the saddest thing. I think with the dog thing, it's like, it's kind of political. It's like it stands on your word. I could be wrong, unless it has something to do with the AKC or like the paperwork. I'm not sure if it does, but that's what really, from what I know, kind of makes your dog as expensive as it is with that paperwork. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think you have to sign a contract, and it's some, you know, I'm sure they draft it up front with a lawyer, you know.
But who knows?
Good question. Right. Yeah, the crew's got it on there saying it's all done through contracts. But yeah, it would be tough, but I don't know. It is what it is.
I mean, because if you really think about it, I mean, the history of reptile people are just pretty lazy fucking people. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, if you really, really think about it, it's just people, you know, obviously you have the innovators and the people who do the most, but I mean, come on, for the most, a lot of people are doing better and with their husbandry and whatnot. But I mean, I've still to this day visited people who've been in the game for a long time and their shit's not all that great. And it's just like, fuck, you know, you've been doing this for this long and it's still, you know, like, so
Yeah.
I think as a whole, we just got to step our shit up, to be honest.
For sure. It depends on the person. You know, it's funny when people talk to you, like when people ask me, it's always a funny question when you meet someone who has no idea about reptiles and they ask you what you do. I always smile. And especially, you know, and they ask you, well, who do you sell animals to? And, you know, you say the social media and you explain how big this whole world is, but it's like, it's funny, man. There's surgeons, like local surgeons who buy animals from me, to school teachers, I mean, you know, it's every walk of life. And so it depends. And to be fair, I will say, for instance, with like a lot of the tree monitors lately that I've been selling, the babies, you get a lot of people who have like, they are gung-ho and they want to create the most badass enclosure for this animal right out the gate. And that's nice to see. There's a part of me that needs to get on my game and put out, like, you know, I'm in the process of making some videos and just like basic care stuff for everything that I keep. But I want to have something for beginning keepers getting into a species such as like a tree monitor or what have you, just so they like can set it up proper. So I don't have to always repeat, you know, myself.
So, I mean, if we could kind of talk about vending and whatnot, I mean, I do know that Tinley is something you like to go to. Is that like your home show, you would say?
It was originally. I mean, I grew up an hour north of Tinley, but now that I live in the Southeast, I hit a couple shows down here, but I go to Tinley twice a year, and now I'm starting to go to other shows. So
what's the most thing you feel that's successful when it comes to selling animals at a show for you?
Man, that's a great question. It's a difficult question because every show seems to be different.
That makes sense.
Every show's different. I really can't give you a good answer on that.
But what would you say, like, if you like, okay, it's true, right? But let's say if you could pick.
I got one.
What?
You want to finish what you're going to say, but I think
I was going to say, like, well, I mean, I want to hear what you want to say, but I was going to say, if there was one animal you could just pick to have available, like, let's just say, if like, hey, man, if you had a good feeling of what you feel like you could sell and have the most at this table, you know, that what would that be?
I would say, so to that question, I would say diversity is key. Right. You want to, like, for me, diversity is important. There's some people out there who are pulling, you know, I don't know, ungodly amounts of money on one species, you know, crested gecko people who are pulling crazy money, and they just work with crested geckos. Hats off to them. They've come up with a system that works. But for me, I find that diversifying is important because every show is different, and I always sell different stuff. You know, there's always, you know, you've got that spread, you're appealing to a broader customer base. And everything that I'm selling at shows is stuff that I produce. I'm not flipping anything. I'm not importing anything and selling it. It's all my stuff. So it's all things that I can like give full husbandry advice to the buyer, and give them lifetime support on that animal and know that they're getting a healthy animal and I back the animal. But what I was going to say is something that's overlooked with people. I don't care what species it is that you work with. It's ball pythons, chondros, crested geckos, kahua, anything. If you work with something that has morphs or has levels to high end, low end, I think it's very, very important to make sure that you have the low end and the high end together. Because if you just have high end, if you just have the best ball pythons on the planet or the best crested geckos and that's it, you're cutting out a customer base that's important. And sometimes you want to get new people into it, buying that lower end, lower tier animal to pique the interest. And then as they get better, more confident, breed stuff, then they want to kind of step it up and purchase kind of more high end, higher dollar animals, and invest more. So that's something that I would say is like stands true at shows. Sometimes you sell low-end stuff at certain shows, all low-end. And if I just went to some of these shows and brought my absolute best high-end geckos, I might not sell everything. I might not sell anything.
I just smacked.
Those things laced that you're eating there?
I was gonna say I just smacked 600 milligram. Merry Christmas, everybody. You know what's funny?
You're gonna have a droopy eye by the end of this.
No, but I ate 3 grams of mushrooms on the last episode. I was fine. 4.5 hours. No, 4 hours and 15 minutes. It was great. You know, I have so much fun. Like, to me, I know that sometimes, if anything, the drinking could get me a loose cannon sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? So, but for the most part, I'm not scared to be myself. Like, I know, even if I do become a loose cannon, I'm just trying to speak facts. I'm very passionate. I'm very just trying to get my point across. I'm just very extra. I could just be very extra. But some people have a hard time exposing who they are. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't it has no effect. Like, I have people who really support me. So that's what I care about, right? But it's like not everyone.
Thing.
Tell me. Listening. What'd you say?
I said that's a beautiful thing.
Oh, I thought you said here's the thing. I'm like, okay, here. I'm listening. I thought you said here's the thing. I was like, okay.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
It really is. Freedom is a beautiful thing. Like, when nobody could really keep you from being you, because at the end of the day, how much energy that must be to be a fake version of yourself. Or like, imagine having to be somebody you tried to get like, so people could like you and stuff like man, I could never, I guess it's too much energy. You know what I mean? So hey, listen, not everyone has the confidence. Not everyone has the fucking, I guess, spine, I guess you could say, to just be themselves, and God bless them. Hope someday it turns around for them. But for me, I'm going to eat edibles. I'm going to eat mushrooms. I'm going to drink. I'm going to do me on this podcast, bro. I ain't never going to stop. I don't care.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Shout out to my sponsors, by the way. Thank you for fucking with me. But yeah, man, I mean, okay. You know, at the end of the day, you know, with what you have going on, which one of the reasons why I respect where you're at with your projects, because as much as I love you as a tree monitor breeder, you are saying that you're actually more known in the gecko game. And I respect that, because everything has its foundation, right?
Been doing it longer.
Right. But where are you at with things? Like, I mean, I guess we could bridge this into the tree monitors, but, you know, as of right now, you have a system where if you're so good, you know, not that you're cocky about it, but you're so confident where if you have eggs, you'll take names down. Who's interested? Let me know. And that system seems to be working for you, right?
Yes. For the tree monitors, I do that. And that's because with the tree monitors, there's not crazy variability. It would be trickier if you were doing Leachianus or Kahua or Chondros, because you don't, I suppose you could do it and do like a pick system, but with the tree monitors, it's a flat price. I know what it's going to be. And once you get good eggs with the tree monitors, I have found that with what I'm doing with my system, that they usually hatch. And if they aren't good, I know that from the get-go.
What can we talk about that one of the signs you see in an egg where you're like, that shit's not going to work? Like, let's talk about that.
Well, I think it's important to have a pair that's been proving themselves out. Like, for instance, with your greens, you know, have you gotten that? You said, I think last podcast you mentioned that you had some eggs, but they were inverts or they were laid in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Let's say that you let's say, you know, you get a good clutch. But for me, with my tree monitors, when I get a good clutch from a pairing, I found that like they start rolling and it becomes consistent. And after that, I know like, okay, these are hatching, boom, these are good eggs, these are good eggs. And you can just kind of tell out the gate. And usually with the tree monitors, the eggs go bad pretty quick.
Yeah.
So if it's a nice, healthy, plump looking egg, even if it's slightly dented in, they seem to pop out pretty well and fill out. And, you know, at that point, I just kind of know them and it's worked. I don't do that system with any other species that I keep. I just do it with the tree monitors.
Right. Now, I mean, I was going to ask you, if the tree monitors, how are you keeping up with the demand first and foremost? Like, can you give what the people want at this point? Are you doing okay with that? Or do you feel like, okay, you are? Okay. Now let's say things got even bigger with the tree monitors, and you feel like you're kind of being stretched between the two. What are you going to do about that? Do you ever see yourself saying, fuck it, I'm just going to do one or the other, or are you going to do your best to always keep both?
Are you saying tree monitors and geckos?
Yeah, tree monitors and geckos.
Geckos have been my staple. Geckos kind of built what I have.
Right.
The tree monitors are interesting because there are people who are having success with them and are breeding, multiple species that are out there, which is awesome to see. But it's nothing compared to what is going on in the gecko world. In the gecko world, there's so many breeders, and you just don't see that kind of consistency in the tree monitors yet.
Which is kind of a good thing, right? Or no?
It's good and it's bad. I think, from like, if you're in a position where you're producing stuff consistently, it's good for you. But it's also like, it could be good to have, like right now, I would say that with what we have in the country, with most of the tree monitor species, if everybody was to be successful breeding them, I think we have enough diversity that are in the United States that we would not need to import anymore. And while the green tree monitors come from a larger range, and they, it's a larger landmass with different locations in PNG where you can find these, and West Papua, arguably some islands as well. But those animals are not at as much risk of being overexploited as some of the species that come from a smaller island where they're getting hit with palm oil plantations. So deforestation is occurring. That's the biggest threat. And then like the problem with tree monitors is they're just too damn cool. They're so loved by people worldwide. And like one of the things that kind of makes me really want to focus and has made me focus stronger with tree monitors is the fact that A, there's not a ton of people producing them. And B, it's like, you just don't know how long, like they need it. If these animals are already being taken out of the country, and Indonesia is really not doing the best job, in my opinion, of protecting their wildlife, you might as well be breeding the living daylights out of what we have here and producing as much as we can that is captive bred, because I don't care what you say, there's a major difference between a captive bred animal and a wild caught animal. Not saying that a wild caught animal cannot tame down, but it's a different beast. They usually are coming in with parasites. They come in really rough shape. Some of them will never end up trusting you. And so there's an importance to breeding the tree monitors that we have here. And ultimately, while I am a herpetoculturist and I've got a lot of species and I keep a lot of stuff, I also have a passion in conservation. And I think that Indonesia could do some amazing things if they were to set up their own breeding program over there where nothing needs to come out of the wild. They could halt quotas for a couple years, set up a facility, and produce the living daylights out of every single species that's coming into the US. And instead of bringing in these wild caught imports, we could be getting captive bred F2 animals, F1 animals from Indo, from a facility that really knows what they're doing. And that's what I'd love to see ultimately. I mean, they could, it'd be a powerful thing. It would be great for the conservation of the species, and it'd be good for herpetoculturists too, because we'd be getting an influx of quality captive bred stuff.
You want to know what gets my pee hard, Brian? You really want to know?
Let's hear it.
Like the fact that other than like the morph side of, because listen, I'm not trying to hate on anyone in the ball python game, because that's where I came from. I like with you with the geckos, I came in through the ball python game, and breeding ball pythons was the thing I wanted to do the most, right? Like my very first year before I could breed anything, I had these ball pythons I was growing up, and I was so fucking fired up. And I got my first clutch, right? And not that I haven't enjoyed it since, but I'll never forget the high of my very first ball python clutch. And then everything after that just kind of felt like I was chasing. I mean, here I am chasing, and nothing wrong with that, because I'm still hitting cool stuff, but I'm trying to be different from anyone else. Like, it really, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make a difference, right?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to make a difference in the ball python game. Like it really, like if you want to talk about, unless you're like a great influencer, unless you have the coolest reptile podcast in the world or some shit, it's really, unless you have that groundbreaking project, it's really kind of difficult. Like I'm not going to lie, it's hard, you know, but all this shit behind me, like the chondros, the emeralds, the green tree monitors, like working with stuff that, you know, isn't purposely worked with because either how difficult it is or the limitation of how it comes in. You know what I mean? I just, what gets me excited is having stuff that I know I have a chance, like a possibility to still have that same excitement. You know what I mean? So basically right now, that whole first clutch ball python clutch high I'm chasing is stuff I have not, like I've had chondro clutches, but they've all died. You know what I mean? Like I just had my fucking last chondro die on me 2 months ago.
Oh, shit. That was that last clutch with the Beox?
Yeah, man. How I could have sworn 3 were fucking all eating too. Savage eaters. I'm like, woohoo.
Oh, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. Brutal, right? And listen, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm kind of, this is what I asked for. Like, I'm like, I want to earn it, I guess. You know what I mean? And not that no one's earning in the ball python game. Everyone has their own wants. I got to tell you, it's my friends, man. It's also meeting Forrest Fanning, you know, having a good friend like Forrest Fanning, who made me a geek of the shit that he liked over all the conversations. My good friend Andrew Acevedo, who's also on another level with this shit. Stephen Cush. Like, I just have people where reptiles has been their lives, all their lives. It's been their lives. And they're like, they just feed this shit into me. And my priorities have just changed a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't get me wrong. I got some fire ass ball python shit still. And like you, that's my foundation. I'd be stupid to get rid of that. Why would I, you know what I mean? I have a name in that, and not a big name, but I have something grounded in that. So yeah. And no matter where the ball python game is, it's always going to be relevant. Even right now, people are saying there's a recession. That's full of shit. There's people selling fucking ball pythons, not like nothing still. So it just depends who it is, what you have, and the way it goes. You know what I mean?
100%. And the geckos cannot, I don't know. I built up a really a high quality collection of all the species that I work with. So what I have is some of the nicest stuff, you know, arguably in the country, in my opinion. And I think some others would agree. So to me, I couldn't, just because I love the tree monitors, but I could never get rid of the geckos. Some species like maybe phase out, but right now I've kind of done that. I've kind of moved out of the stuff that hasn't worked for me and the stuff that isn't of high importance. So I kind of am at a good place with the tree monitors in conjunction with the geckos. And it kind of hits 2 different worlds in the hobby. And I love them. I enjoy each of them in their own way. So
yeah, I mean, so let me ask you this. I mean, did you feeling any kind of recession at all in the stuff that you work with, or do you have like any kind of?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, any kind of experience from that?
Yeah, I think that, I tend to have I'll occasionally deal with some anxiety, but it's every single year. There's always ebbs and flows, and I think any reptile breeder, anybody who's selling stuff, experiences the same thing. There's always dips, and then there's lows and highs. And it's easy to kind of freak out when you have a month or 2 months go by and you're like, man, this isn't really moving. I've had these up, what's going on? Or people aren't buying this. But then it's all of a sudden something happens where somebody comes in and, multiple people, it's like bam, 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 bam with sales. So the whole thing is, again, we're selling luxury items. They're not necessities, but the bottom line is, people out there are still, there's a lot of people, and reptiles are super popular. And, I've been doing this since 2012. As far as a business, I think it's good. It's good. Things are good. I can't complain on my end. And,
Now, I mean, what would you say that your overall goal would be with any kind of big success you have with your projects? I mean, do you always like to just feed things back into your projects, or do you like to kind of maybe dabble in other stuff? Like, where are you at with your what you like to do with the money you make?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult when you're into reptiles to not reinvest. You have to really try hard. You know this. I mean, everybody who keeps reptiles realizes how addicting they can be, especially when you're dealing with anything that has morphs or like a complex like the tree monitors, you know. You end up seeing like, oh yeah, I'm doing good with blues, I'm doing good with yellows. What about greens? What about blacks? What about, you know, it's like there's all, yeah, I'll do some reinvesting if I feel I need to, but I've hit a good point with my collection where I've kind of like, I'm very, 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 very close to where I am with being comfortable with what I have. But, you know, I took some of the cash and I'm doing a lifelong dream of a greenhouse. You know, I've been an orchid nerd since I was a kid. And so finally I got to fulfill a dream and just put up a really cool greenhouse that is going to be just like dedicated to orchids and like me chilling out. Originally I was like, oh man, yeah, I can do production and I can, you know, divide and breed and sell plants. And I'm just like, you know, I do enough of that with my reptiles. I just want a place where I can go. It can be cold outside. I can hop in there, have coffee in the morning, and be surrounded by badass plants. So I'm pumped about that.
Listen, I'm pumped about this episode just being just shy of under an hour. So if you, man, we're over 60 people in the building, man. Woo! Gotta love it on a Christmas night. Thank you so much. Guys, let's get the likes up, please. I appreciate if you get the likes up for me, for my boy Bryan, because we're just getting the wheels moving and oiled here. Because, man, we haven't really gotten too crazy about the whole tree monitor talk. I want to kind of go back to what we were talking about with, you know, I don't know. Like, you know, I had a clutch last year, the tree monitor clutch. And like you said, man, once they lay, they start laying. So I kind of felt like, man, like this could happen. Like if everything's right, she could keep laying again. So I was kind of being prepared and ready for the next cycle. Didn't happen. Actually, what didn't happen was the mating. Like he stopped like doing what he was doing. It almost become like it was just kind of like whatever at this point. And I was like, wow. And that's when I asked you, what should I separate them? And I went ahead and separated them, right? And putting them back after a couple months did seem to have some sort of action, right? Like it had some sort of like where I was like, oh, this is what I'm looking for. But then it stopped right away. So I was like, oh shit, you know, but I left them together. But mind you, they went from a 5 by 3 by 2 to a
wait, what were those dimensions? 5?
No, hold on. No, I'm sorry. 4 by 3 by 2.
Okay.
So 4. No, I'm sorry. I'm saying that wrong. So 3 means how tall. No, 3 means the cross, right? When you say 3 first, normally 3 means the cross. Am I tripping?
To be honest, I'm the wrong person to ask for that.
Okay, let's just make all the time. Let me make this easier. 4 feet tall. Okay. 3 feet wide, 2 feet deep. That's what they were in. Okay. And then now they're in a 6 foot tall, 2 feet deep, 4 feet wide. Okay. Mm-hmm. And man, they fucking dude, they use every inch of it. I love it. You saw how I decked it out and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But now, you know, there was some action going on, like the action that I was looking for. I was really, really stoked. And oh
yeah.
And so now she's looking big. But my thing to you is she laid December 30th of the same time last year. I mean, is it something bad if it's around that time and she's not doing any digging? Like I'm kind of like wondering, like, do I have her nesting? She has a couple different nesting options. Like she has options. They're heated. I've been tep gunning, but I'm noticing her not digging. In the other enclosure, she used to fucking dig all the time. So I'm wondering what I should do here, or what you suggest, or maybe she's not ready. That's why she's not digging. What do you think?
Man, there's a lot of ways we could go with this. I would say, first of all, when she's ready and she's gravid, she's going to be rooting around and looking for a place to lay. And you'll notice, where is your, like the thing is with tree monitors, there's so many options for caging. And what I kind of have done with mine is I've kind of like made most of them, the majority, all uniform for my breeders. And then I found a system that works with it. If you want to give your tree monitors an entire bedroom, you can do it. You just have to make sure that your lighting and your heating is going to be uniform where your animals are benefiting from it. you know, so where I'm going with this is if you have a super tall cage, a 6 foot tall cage, you know, are you heating the bottom of that cage?
Now, the bottom of the cage isn't heated, but it has the nest boxing has.
What's the temps at the bottom?
77.
What in the nest box is at what?
I mean, I would say like the top of it's like 80, 85, 86.
Mm-hmm.
But then it has heat tape on the side.
Good. Well, so long as your box is heated, I guess that's where I was going with it is, you know, if it's a super tall cage and your nest box at the bottom of the cage and the bottom of the cage isn't heated, you know, they might not find that spot desirable. But every once in a while, you'll get an animal that is just an absolute pain in the butt and doesn't want to do what it's supposed to do. And I've got a yellow tree pair right now that in the past 2 days, I've been getting eggs, just inverts kicked out that are no good. I got one today, and this female, I've paired her up multiple times, and we've gone through the situation of getting inverts. So I would say, see what happens in this next round. And if nothing happens, you don't get any good eggs, might not be a bad idea, MJ, to get another male and try him out.
Yeah,
you know,
I was
see them getting it done. Are they locking?
no, I mean I haven't got a lock in 2 weeks, dude. I haven't got a lock in 2 weeks.
But they locked 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, they were like, it was like a whole week of it. Like it was like a week of them like going at it. It was good.
That's good. Well, you got some time then. You know, I don't know how long they've been together, but so long as your nest box is set up how you got it, and you know the substrate in there is damp. I mean, not damp. I'd say like lightly moist, where you can kind of clump it. No water's coming out, and it's heated. I think she'll lay.
Now, I mean, I want to kind of talk about the process behind, because like, you know, I feel like getting the eggs is, I mean, the percentage of eggs being good or not good to like actually them going the full distance in the incubator. How many times have you had an egg just not go the distance in the incubator? Are you telling me once you know the eggs at that level, it's going to go the distance, or how much are you delegating with that?
Depends on the pair. If you get a pair that you know is rocking and is consistent, and they're putting out fertile eggs, consistently, usually you can tell right out the gate. But in your case, if your female green lays a clutch, and this is her first good clutch, you're gonna go through, and when you're pulling those eggs, you know, if they look really good, I'd say they've got a good shot. But if not, you're getting inverts from her again, then something's up.
Now, I mean, yeah, and that's the thing too. I've noticed so many different things could matter why either the egg's not good, you know, like, I mean, I don't know, dieting used to be one of the biggest things that was like my biggest, like, whoa factor with almost any monitor species this year was, you know, how you shouldn't have anything on just a rodent diet like that. I don't care what it is. Having a different types of everything is also good for almost anything, you would say, right?
Right.
So for what you do with the tree monitors, strictly insects, correct? Like you don't do any kind of rodents at all, correct?
Rarely.
And when you say rarely, like what would be the time? Like when would be the moment where you're like, oh shit, let me offer this a pink or something like that?
For me, it's if you were to get, let's say you were to get a long-term captive animal, or, you know, if somebody were to get an import and it's not eating your insects that you're giving it and it's in rough shape, then sure, you can fall back to that. But aside from that, if you've got it feeding on insects or quail or eggs, stick to that.
Man, I'm kind of happy. And here's another thing too. I've noticed, I don't know if this is just because of the times as far as where the female's at, but she's a lot bold of an eater now. Like that's for sure.
That's good.
Used to be very finicky, but now, man, she'll take a bite out of a quail egg. Like she'll go for it. And I'm like, awesome. I'm super stoked to see that. I don't know if that's the new enclosure or whatnot, or if that's just maybe her in that moment as far as, you know, her having to like be ready for it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's good that they've been locking. And if she's got good body weight and they've been locking up, you know, fingers crossed for you, man. I really want to see you have some success with those two. I know they've been a pain in your butt for a while. I mean,
but here's the thing. They're doing good as far as like establish, like they're eating, they're doing, I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you that I don't I don't want the fucking glory. You know what I mean? That's
Well,
what I
you
mean.
want to produce them. You know, they're doing well for you. They're eating and they're surviving and doing good, but you want to get some production. I get it.
Now, hold on. There's like a special ed fucking. There's somebody like.
I see that.
Yeah, let me just. I gotta just. He wants attention, so we're gonna say hi to this special person. Everyone, this is a special person. He's coming from multiple accounts just to say, you know, hi to Bryan Suson here, I guess. But yeah, man. Suson, not Susan.
Susan.
It's okay. Is that Japanese?
I think about Dr. Seuss and then on Susan.
Right, Susan. But was that Japanese? What would that be?
I mean, my family, my father was, you know, Russian, Polish, and then my mother's Lithuanian. So somewhere.
Now, your parents overall with reptiles, did I ever ask you that, how they were with reptiles when you were a kid? Did you ever have to battle that, or were they fucking just super cool?
Early on, there was a battle with my mother, but then she ended up becoming my best supporter and a caretaker. So very grateful that they kind of fostered that. Yeah. My father taught me early on, and this is kind of an interesting thing that I find when I talk to reptile keepers. But when you talk to somebody about, you know, who was raised with their parents and the reptiles, like for me, my father wanted me to be just, you know, a professional basketball player. So if I wanted that green tree python, okay, no problem. You want that snake? We're going to go ahead and fill out a contract, and you have to practice this many times a week for this many months, you know, going between the legs, up and down the back, you know, up and down my street this many times, behind the back, crossovers, 300, you know, 3-pointers every day, this many free throws. Even if you're going on vacation, guess what? That basketball's coming with on vacation on the plane, and you're dribbling up and down the hallways of the hotel. I mean, that was how I got reptiles as a kid. So yeah, I learned the importance of a contract pretty early on. So anyway,
dude, it's crazy because I loved reptiles, but my mom, you don't even know what I had to put my mom through just to get a reptile. Like my mom, I think I was 6 years old. God bless me. I say, other than this Christmas, the other best Christmas that I will take to my grave, okay, was when, you know, you remember Chuck E. Cheese? Did you ever go to a Chuck E. Cheese back in the day?
Yeah.
All right. So there was a Chuck E. Cheese, and right next to a Chuck E. Cheese, there was a pet shop. So I would always go to the Chuck E. Cheese and go to the pet shop. That was like a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then sure enough, that's when my dad shows me a ball python, and I fucking lost it. I was like,
wait, in a Chuck E. Cheese?
No, the pet shop next to the Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay.
Yeah. That would be sick, huh? That'd be actually not sanitary. But no, yeah. So I you know, and you know, it was, my dad was one of those people, God bless him, who would get me so excited about something. My mom would be like, nope. She would just shut it down. And I'd be like, wow. Like, you know, and then I'll, you know, put my dad through it till my dad would just do it anyways. And one of the things my dad did anyways was the ball python. And, but you know, I never had anything in my mind saying, well, I'm going to get another snake. Like I was just so happy with that one snake, bro. I was fucking just, you know, never even thought of it. But what got me to get that snake and anything was sports. I did whatever the fuck my dad wanted me to do, but I enjoyed it. Like I played baseball, raced motocross, played football, and my dad loved all those things. And that's what we did, man, side by side. But man, if I really wanted more reptiles, now that I'm thinking about it, I could have.
Yeah. When the lizards were easy to get into the house, but when I wanted a boa forever. And when I brought home my first boa, it was a war. I mean, my mother and my sister was crying. My mother was freaking out. And, you know, yeah, years later, I had her feed it when I was gone years later. I had that thing for 17 years and I was gone at one point. And she tried throwing like something in there, a rat. And she threw it in. The snake didn't nail it. And she reached in to get it. And this 7-foot boa just whacked her and wrapped her arm up, blood everywhere. I mean, my mom is a soldier.
Your mom, dude, you heard the story about my dad, right? Did you hear that story of my pops? Dude, okay, well, this is why I always tell people to fucking just calm down. Don't be MJ in a lot of ways. One way is Well, I think it's kind of known out there. Like the retic game isn't something that everyone's jumping into. I guess you could say it's a game where a lot of people are just kind of like, you know, they got to be careful with it. Let's kind of talk about like one time, fuck, bro. The biggest retic I ever got into first was a adult dwarf retic, fucking 10.5-foot retic. And this guy, all he wanted to do was breed. But my dad loved feeding the animals, man. Like and back then I only fed live. So that was, he liked coming around for the live feeding. This is one of those people, you know what I mean? But sure enough, my dad's like, hey, I want to feed him. I want to feed one. And I'm like, all right, dude, go ahead and feed this one. You know, you're going to feed him 3 rats, you know, because it was a big fucking snake. And so I did the first one for him. I was like, here, that's what you're going to do. Do that next time. Okay. I guess he did that the next time. But then for whatever reason on the third one, he told himself, let me take the box and just put it in the cage and just like chuck it out. I guess he just didn't want to touch the rat, right? So what do you think fucking happened, bro? He put his hand in there thinking that rat wasn't going to, or that snake wasn't going to even, you know, launch from the other side of the 4-foot cage, which it did. And, you know, I back then I didn't know about like, you know, if that thing hits you and wrap you, just stay still and wait for it to either let go or something. Don't rip your hand away. That's the one thing you don't do. Yeah. And my dad, with all his fucking might, dude, ripped his hand away. And, dude, fucking just all inside of his fingers. I think over 17 stitches he had, bro. It was fucking brutal. And it was like open meat, bro. I felt so bad for my pops. I was also mad at him because I was like, dude, fuck, like, I told you to just throw the rat. And he's just there bleeding. He's like, fuck you. And I'm like, oh, man, and he took off. And it was crazy. I love my days.
Damn, is his hand okay? Do you have any like nerve?
Oh, he's good. No, he's good. He's my dad's pretty. He's like your mom. My dad's a fucking G, dude. Like at first I was like, oh, my dad's going to want nothing to do with the snakes after this. And he was like, it's not the snake's fault, man. And I was like, yeah, dude, I know. It's like, you had that food right there, right next to your hand. Like I told you. And it was just, you know, man, what's crazy? Like a lot of the airhead things I would do as a kid, and like where my dad was like, I fucking told you. It's funny how my dad does that now. And I'm like telling him like, dude, like, why'd you do that?
That's an interesting dynamic as their parents age, man. It's tough, but yeah, it sucks.
Now, West Coast shows, man. I know. Here's the thing, man. I know there's West Coast hitters out here. I shout to all the West Coast breeders, you know, my homies and whatnot, man. But I always love it when I could try to have an influence on a big East Coaster or a Midwest fucking breeder to come over to check out a reptile super show or, you know, just hang out. Was that ever a possibility to you? Do you ever feel like you ever want to check out a Pomona in Anaheim, just kind of see what the vibe's like?
Yes. I've been invited out there from a couple friends who are breeders out here. Gabby and Brett and AJ Davidson, who you just had on. They've been were talking to me about going out there. I know they visited and they loved it. And they want to vend. I would love to vend. I'd love to do that show out there, that super show. But man, the logistics of getting animals out there, you know, I could always go to hang, but, you know, vending, the logistics, you know, I'd have to ship animals to somebody and then, you know, vend, and then you're shipping animals back. It just seems like such a pain in the butt, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like a serious road warrior or something, I'd do it. But right now I don't know.
Dude, I give it to those road warriors, man. I don't know if you know Dave Levinson.
Yeah, dude. I love Dave. He's a good guy,
bro.
Man. He cracks me up. I'm supposed to go down fishing with him down in Missouri.
So okay, you know how me and you have plans for next year. You know, I'm supposed to go to your spot.
Mm-hmm.
He's somebody else I would love to tap in and go just do like a weekend where, dude, because he's very outdoorsy, that guy.
Yeah, he's been trying to get me out fishing. He loves trout fishing. And it's beautiful down there, dude. It is beautiful. It's the rivers down there, like the Current River is ridiculous. The 11-Point River is amazing. If you're into like canoeing and fly fishing and camping, beautiful water, crystal clear, you know, scenic riverway. It's amazing.
Now, I mean, I got to ask you, what about deep sea fishing? You ever fuck with that saltwater stuff?
I have not. I'm more so like I'm into diving, like free diving and scuba diving. I would prefer if I was gonna fish to spearfish than to do like the deep sea
spear fishing, bro. Damn, that's sick.
Yeah. But like the deep sea, I've got, I'm not trashing it, but for me personally, like, because I used to be a fanatical muskie fisherman up in the north woods of Wisconsin and Minnesota and Canada. And it was all casting. And a lot of the deep sea is like trolling, which could be fun. But I've kind of like, for me now, if I'm fishing, I'm going to eat the fish. I don't want to put my effort into doing the catch and release. I have mad respect for catch and release, but I love eating fish. And
amen, brother.
I love being in the water. I mean, I go snorkeling, when you come out here, man, if you want to get into the water and do some cold water snorkeling and see some amazing, fish and there's hellbenders out here. There's all sorts of reptiles, cool salamanders, snakes, everything. But I'll throw on a wetsuit and go snorkeling in the rivers out here.
How cold?
Snorkel.
How cold, buddy?
It's cold, but if you put on a wetsuit, it's manageable.
What about my feet? What about my hands? That shit's exposed.
Your feet and hands will be good.
No way, bro.
Such a dude, with cold water, and now it's like I embrace it, especially if you're on this whole workout tip and you're trying to be, you're working out every day. I see you doing that. It's the same thing as if you were doing an ice bath.
Yeah,
you've got beautiful fish in front of you, and you're in an amazing setting. And in the springtime, when the minnows are spawning out here, it's incredible. It's as cool of a scene as you'll see on any coral reef in the world.
I'm telling you motherfuckers right now, once I move into this new house, I'm getting a cold plunge. And that shit gets down to 38 degrees. I'm going to start doing that shit like a motherfucker. I mean, listen, because I couldn't believe that you could actually do it. Like, you could do it. It's all about calming your fucking mind, and you kind of let certain levels of the pain just go past your body, and then you literally just become accustomed to it, and you're just like, holy shit, I'm here, I'm doing it. But mind you got to stay calm. Once you freak out, it's over. Like once you're like, oh my, like you panic just a little bit, that's when the uncomfort comes back, and it's like, oh my God.
You just focus on breathing.
Focus and breathing, man. It's all about thinking about what you're thankful for, like anything that you're just like super calm about. Like I would just, you know what I mean? Chondros.
Yeah.
And I'm not, even though they hurt me, so I would actually probably panic too. But
no, man, we're gonna throw you in a wetsuit and we're gonna toss you in a frigid ass river.
Oh, jeez. I'm down. Fuck it. I'm not gonna say no to an opportunity like that. Like, why would I do that? I would never want to do such a thing. Now, ball python community. You never had ball pythons, have you? Or did you ever dabble with the ball pythons or no?
Maybe I had a ball python once in my life. I don't think so, man. Because if I would have had a ball python, I would I would have had it for a long time. So I don't think I have. I've cared for a lot. I mean, I used to work at a facility that had tons of snakes and cared for a lot of them, but no.
I love that because there's, because a lot of people, no matter what they work at, or excuse me, whatever they're working with, they eventually ask me, they've asked me, MJ, like, how would you get into the ball python game? Either way, there's been a spike in the ball python game at some point where people are asking me, how do you get in it? You know what I mean?
Is the market strong right now for them?
I mean, listen, it's not saturated. There's still things that you could make and possibly kill it. The thing is, people aren't buying right now. There's people that just aren't buying shit right now. That's the thing. You know what I mean? It's Christmas. It's a lot of other things that kind of fall into play. People are coming off a COVID high too. Like COVID was just not realistic numbers. It wasn't really
crazy.
It was crazy. Like it wasn't real life type shit. So I think a lot of people who either thought that was real life or was expecting that kind of life to happen this year and didn't, maybe they're the ones that are scared. I don't know. Or maybe it's the ones who are making videos about this or making this a big fuss is trying to scare people. I don't know. I don't really know how to really pinpoint it. And that's nothing against anyone coming out with recession videos. It's kind of the trend right now. That became a trend. Like, I don't want to blame Justin, but once Justin from Canova busted one out, all these motherfucking recession experts started coming out with videos. And it's like, everything's a fucking recession video now. You know what I mean?
Wow. I've not seen that. It's interesting.
God bless.
I always like to keep tabs on different, species in the market, you know, for me, like one of the biggest gauges in my world is the crested gecko. I work with crested geckos, but it's a small collection of really nice ones. It's nothing compared to these, you know, big breeders and who are, you know, just producing tons of them and super crazy ones. But I keep a close eye on it because to me, the ball python market and the crested gecko market are very important for the overall health of the reptile market in general, because they're the most common, you know, arguably the easiest to breed. And if people are buying those, that's a good sign. And with crested geckos, it's crazy. I mean, it's been crazy, and it's just kind of, you know, there's swings. I mean, there was a few years back, 4 or 5 years back, people were selling all their crested geckos because stuff wasn't selling. And then there was a resurgence, and it's gotten crazier than it's ever been. So it's kind of like, you know, it's almost like the stock market. Things ebb and flow. And when you have something, if you're keeping kahua and sales are slow, or crested geckos, ball pythons, and sales are slow, you don't just start dumping prices to get rid of everything because you're freaking out. You got to chill out. If you're in the game for the business aspect, you got to chill out, keep composed, you know, and not tank a market just because of that, because it's going to bounce back, and it always does.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is why you always go with the work with what you love. You know what I mean? Like people are going to want to follow your passion at the end of the day. When you're around something for so long, you're putting in work, no matter how quick you're following builds throughout years, it still builds. So you have people who fuck with you because of what you fuck with.
Exactly.
So I just think you just got to stay loyal. Just stay down to your shit. Don't panic. But listen, that's what makes these people come and go. Let's be honest. This is what makes people irrelevant. This is what makes people like almost easy to fucking spot. Like the ones who are like, okay, won't see this guy in a couple years. And you know what's awesome is I'm pretty good at fuck, man. I don't brag about it, but I kind of have a list, and I'm like, let me see where this guy's in 8 months or the end of the year. Gone. You haven't seen a post since the year before, and you're like, God damn it, called it. You know, just because their demeanor, you know, you got some people that have just barely showed their face and expect attention, expect I mean, you want to talk about people who ask like, hey, why don't you follow me? The fuck, who are you? Why the fuck should I follow you? Like, why are you asking me? How about that? Like, people like have the audacity to ask, like, you know, why don't you follow me? The fuck?
That's interesting.
It's like, what? Like, I don't like, bro, like, get your projects up. I don't know what to tell you. I've never seen you. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not and you know, mind you, a lot of these people who ask me shit like that are ones who are, you know, they're just doing everything they can to build a following, and that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. Yeah. But you have somebody like me who don't give two shits about that. Dude, sometimes I make it hard for you to follow me. I'm not going to lie. I'm so real. I am so raw with my shit that I test people sometimes. And listen, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I fucking will admit that right now, but I am what you see. You don't have to fucking question me. You know the cards on the table, and I'd rather you be that than most these fake motherfuckers that are out there, especially social media fake people. Like you have the Mr. Hey, everyone likes me. I'm Mr. Likeable. Yeah, well, those are the guys you should be worried about. That's all I got to tell you. Those are actually the most fake people in the game. I'll tell you that right now.
It's amazing how YouTube and like, I guess some social media personalities, there's some people on YouTube and some people on social media who have gained a huge following who have been in the game for a while. So I will say that, who are like respectable people. But it's also very interesting to see a lot of newer folks who come in who have like way bigger followings than like some top breeders, and they really haven't produced or accomplished that much in terms of herpetoculture. But they just put out lots of content and, you know, apparently are creating very interesting and popular content. And all of a sudden they become authorities, and they really might not be the best person to be an authority on a species. But it's interesting how that works.
Bryan, I got to say, kudos to you for introducing me to AJ Davison. What a guy.
AJ's a good guy, man. He's a good dude. Passionate, smart, and busts his ass with his animals. He's always questioning. He'll ask tons of questions, and he is just logging everything. He's a good businessman, good breeder. good personality too. You know, he's doing his podcast, and the way he questions people it's a beautiful thing for a viewer to see, because he asks really good questions too. So AJ's a good cat.
I saw that they were taking a little holiday break. I called him an amateur.
Yeah, busted. Call him out.
I love
It's
AJ.
it's amazing what he does, the amount of things that he has his fingers in. I'm not going to, a lot of projects and things like just all related to herpetoculture in general. It's impressive what he's tackling and doing. It's admirable.
Oh my gosh, shout out to my dog. Hey, real quick, if you don't subscribe to this guy's YouTube channel, I'm telling you right now, please do. Chris, are we friends, Chris? There's somebody in the chat saying that I owe sponsorship people money, that we're not cool no more. I'm pretty sure it's Derek Reptiles, but he's going by Steve Jobs. He's going by a bunch of different names. Anyways, I don't want to take too much time on this episode about this, but thank you to Chris Eaton, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, this is my boy right here. I got to tell you right now, huge in the podcasting game. And if you want to talk about people who just don't give a fuck, me and this guy go hand in hand with stuff like that. You ever listen to any of the Snakes and the Fat Man podcast at all?
I have not.
Okay, I'll send you a link. This dude is like, I would say he's easily like the Howard Stern of the reptile community for sure.
Oh,
like
cool.
He's really awesome to listen to. And I guess, oh no, I thought he was going to admit to that. We are brothers. That's right. Chris Eaton and MJ are brothers. Anyways, shouts to Snakes and the Fat Man. And yeah, that's my dog. Anyways,
awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's good to see these different podcasts coming up. It provides a good forum, especially for us who are like feeding animals and cleaning cages for hours on end. It's like it gives you something to listen to while you're going. So thanks to all you podcast gurus out there who are doing this stuff. It's awesome.
I want to say also, shout to AJ and his boy. Zero Geckos. What's his name? What's his name? Harry?
Harry.
Harry. That's the second Asian Harry homie I know now. I have my other homie Harry is Asian, Harry Wang. That's his last name. And yeah, he's packing a wing. I gotta say, not that I know. I'm just saying you don't play with them. But anyways, I've heard big things, man. I gotta say too, I've tapped into a couple of their episodes, and they are on point with their questionings, man. It's very intriguing, and it's also straight to the point. There's really no bullshit behind it. That's why I love stuff like that. Like, what are we here to learn? Like, what's this all about? And it just gets straight to the point.
It's precision dissecting. Yeah, Harry's a great guy as well. Him and AJ are a good combo. So good peeps for sure.
Now, well, who would you say maybe? Because you've been selling tree monitors for how many years now? You could say.
This is only my second season selling them.
Whoa, dude! Second?
Yeah.
So last year you sold how many?
I think I kept. I sold 36 last year.
36?
Punching in numbers over there, son. What are you doing?
I'm just telling Chris Eaton I love him. That's it. No, 30. So 36 you produced or 36 you sold? I'm sorry.
39 I produced, and then 36
let
go. 36
wow. Dude. First and foremost, I know probably space came down to something, but I don't even know how you let those rests go. I get it. Like you've been doing this and you understand it, but I don't know how you can just let those motherfuckers go, bro.
Space, yeah. And this season so far, I've hatched out for this year 30 babies, and then I've got like roughly around another 25 eggs in the incubator. So
now, anyone out there? Come on, I'm not gonna lie, man. I got my favorites. I got my favorite ball python. I got my favorite ball python customers. I really do. I got my I don't know if they just love me, but god damn it, they're always there and they always want what I have sometimes. And I'm like, dude, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Do you have any of those in the tree monitor game yet? Do you have any of like I want to say one of your biggest customers who just really wants to do what you do someday? Like, you have any of those?
I think a lot of people, again, kind of circling back to the whole selling to, future competitors. I think it's a natural thing when people buy reptiles, they want to try and produce them. So yeah, there's a lot of people who are either have tree monitors and are wanting more stock to try and, round out their breeding groups. And then you get people who are brand new. A lot of people who are our customers are brand new to the game with tree monitors. And, you know, once you keep a tree monitor, you understand. They're amazing. I love geckos. I love chondros, tree monitors, and monitors in general. But the tree monitors are something different. It's
like, okay, I can't compare the I don't mean to cut you off, Brian, but you cannot compare the geckos to the ball pythons because the geckos are so cute. They'll do things also like a little mini dinosaur. Like they have personalities. Some of them are little angry guys and some of them are really happy. Like it's just like, they're really cool. You don't know what mood a ball python is in. Like you don't fucking like, they're just like, it's a ball python. It's scared of you. It's trying to hide. That's the end of it. Right. But in a sense, what the ball pythons are compared to, I guess, a chondro, an emerald, even though an emerald still sits on a branch, there's just something that has that level of being more intriguing. You know what I mean? Like that like, oh my God, I'm not working with a ball python or a gecko. I'm working with a tree monitor or a green tree python or something. But it's really not that either, bro, because dude, please guys, not only go follow Bryan Suson. Did I say that right?
Hey, thank you.
Bryan Suson on Instagram and on Facebook, Sundown Reptiles. But please, let's pull it up. What the fuck am I talking about? Let's pull up this video. Okay. You want to see how fucking goddamn wax on, wax off this fool is with this shit? Look at this. All right. Wait. Oh, you didn't put it on here?
It's on my story. I don't know if you can do that.
Right.
It's on, if you go onto Facebook, you can see it on my Facebook page.
You have a TikTok?
No, I need to.
That right there will go viral, bro.
Really? All right.
I mean, I'm just saying you might as well pulling it up right
now.
now.
I want to say too, I see people in the comments who want in on the tree monitor game. I just want to say, and this is obviously I breed them. I do have baby blues and I do have baby yellows available, but forget me. There's other people out there who are producing tree monitors. They're producing blues, they're producing greens. If you do get a tree monitor, support someone who's breeding them in captivity. Okay. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anybody out there who's producing them. You'll be so much more thankful if you get a captive bred animal. So get in on a captive bred baby if you are going to do tree monitors. It's my suggestion, my opinion.
Support the people you love.
Yeah, man. If you scroll up, there it is.
Christmas.
All right, here we go. All right, hold on. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Take it from the
I
top.
hate watching myself.
Well, hold on. How about don't watch? Go away. How about that? Just kidding. All right, here we go. Watch this video. This is sick as fuck.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to everybody. Just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to be on the Trap Talk podcast tonight with MJ on YouTube at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking monitors. We're going to be talking geckos. We're going to be talking all sorts of things reptile related. We hope to see you guys there.
Oh, that was close.
And we'll see you tonight. Hope you're enjoying the day.
Dude, that was so gangster, bro.
The timing was incredible.
It was like, it's like you guys connected right there. It's like, all right, go. And but you know what's okay. I can tell you right now, I've had those tree monitors on me and they do something with their feet that make you feel like they're about to launch. And you can actually see it. Like you could see it kind of like perking up and
100%.
Dude, but like, but still, you didn't know if it was going to go this way, that way. You just went. Like it was like you ever see those epic fucking videos where people catch a beer while they're like on a fucking like either like feet skiing or some shit and they're just like and they just crack and open it. That was like one of those scenes right there.
Yeah, it was great timing. I was happy with how that worked out for sure. It was great.
Listen,
that's my most tame girl too. She's the most she is such a producer. That girl consistently cranks beautiful clutches. I love her. And shout out to Dr. Brad Waffa. Used to be Waffa House Reptiles. He used to do chondros, ball pythons, tons of snakes back in the game. Very well respected veterinarian in the Cary, Raleigh area. He's opening up a new practice. But he saved her life, man. They were eating. I had given them quail, and I thought she had wolfed her quail down. And the male, who is my biggest animal, grabbed her by the throat, ripped her throat open. I mean, I thought she was gone. It was bad. And
the male ripped her throat open?
A male tried to get the food and grabbed her neck.
Oh my
And
god!
in tree monitors, you don't see that kind of fighting. You don't have to worry usually about animals fighting and beating each other up like you do with a lot of the geckos that I keep. I mean, some of the geckos I keep will kill each other, but Brad Waffa saved her life, and you can kind of see on her throat she's got a little indent, but still cranking out eggs. And she was gravid when that incident happened. She was like a couple weeks away from laying. We put her under, got her patched up, stitched up. She laid a beautiful clutch a couple weeks later.
You want to hear something scary, man? And the only guy around for this was Eric Lee. Do you know Eric Lee, the super dwarf breeder?
It's so familiar. If I saw him, I'd probably know him.
Do you know the guy from Bloodsport? The fucking like the big fucking Asian swole dude with the chest that's like this big. You ever see that?
What's his name?
I forget his name. Something Lee. Or no, it was something.
Ho?
I just watched a video on him.
Something Ho.
Yeah, something
My
about
boy Gavin Brink loved that guy. Yeah. Mace Montana. If anybody remembers Mace Montana.
Mace Montana. So
rest in peace, Gavin Brink, dude. You would have loved that cat.
Really? Well, what did he breed?
He was one of the pioneers with this colubrid, formerly known as Sustes. Now they're known as Freinax. It's a arboreal colubrid from Latin America. Super variable in coloration. They come in all these different cool colors. They puff up their throat. Badass snake. It is like the tree monitor of the colubrid world. Jason Hood is your guy to talk to now. As far as those Chung Lee, that's it. Chung Lee,
yeah.
Yeah, man.
What was I gonna say though about Eric Lee? Hold on. I don't fucking know. Injury. Oh, yes. Thank you. So yeah. Eric Lee, one of the first times Eric Lee ever came over to my house, I was showing him the lace monitors. Mind you, the lace monitors were just approaching about a year old. They're pretty big. My lace monitors took off pretty big, or pretty quick, right? So anyways, I have them housed together. They were raised together. Now they're separate, but they were raised together. And I showed Eric, hey, you want to see me feed my lace monitors? He's like, yeah, let's do it. And so, at this point, man, they're at the stage where they'll bully each other for the food. Like they want the food, And so I'm like, all right, here we go, And so I tried to feed Alice, the chick, but Mac Dre's coming too. So I raised, Jesus Christ, my fucking camera. I raised the chick. And so Alice jumps, completely misses, and lands right in Mac Dre's mouth, her whole head. I'm talking about down the throat. Like he was like, and I was like, no, like I thought it was over, bro. I thought it was over. And he literally, luckily he didn't clamp down. He just was like, oh shit. And but she was in the throat, bro. Like I'm talking in there. And luckily he did one whoop and flipped around and she went flying out. And I was like, oh, I looked at Eric pretending like that happens, but it doesn't. And I was like, oh my fucking God, she almost got swallowed right now. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, that's scary. That's scary when that sort of thing happens.
I have people watching me, waiting for me to fuck up with the lace monitors. Trust me, bro.
Really?
Listen, I didn't want to do this, but I feel like it's important at this point, especially because you're my boy. And if you never heard this story, why not tell an awesome Christmas tale? Do you know this? Do you know the story?
Gather around the fire, everyone.
Yeah. Everyone gather around, get your hot cocoa or your wine together or your water, whatever you have, either way. Okay. But listen, do you know the story of Bob Smith? You heard me say fuck Bob Smith, I'm sure.
Maybe.
You've never seen the hashtag? Didn't I give you a shirt that said fuck Bob? Were you one of those people part of that way? I had my very first
Trap Talk pod. I need a shirt, by the way.
I got you. Say less. But I would really like for you to understand the story because a lot of people, have been down with me for a long time. They know the Bob Smith story. They know all about it. But a lot of people don't know the Bob Smith story. But it was a movement, a big enough movement where I made a hashtag out of it. And my very first podcast shirt, it went on the back. It said hashtag fuck Bob Smith. Okay. So Bob Smith, story of the legacy of Bob Smith. Okay. Forrest Fanning, rest in peace. You know Forrest Fanning, right?
Yeah.
So Forrest Fanning is the only reason I had the balls to start a podcast, bro. And this all started with, I got invited onto a podcast and they told me I couldn't cuss and I couldn't smoke. And I'm like, okay. They're like, yeah, try not to cuss, and you definitely can't smoke. I'm like, all right. I was like, is this like fucking why? Like, why are we not adults? Like that was just going on in my mind. So I knew that there was a lot of like G-rated, like basically corny fucking popcorn bullshit podcasts out there. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like nobody wants to be themselves right now. Like this is nuts. But also I understand people who don't want to start a podcast who haven't done shit in the industry or just is really kind of a nobody. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a nobody. Okay. Forrest Fanning, my dog. Forrest Fanning, definitely somebody. Probably one of the biggest, well-respected private reptile keepers in the game from when I came in. That Zoo Dreams Instagram account, fucking murder. This guy had things you couldn't even dream about. The most nicest reptile collection. But he was just
I had seen his collection. He had some
he's
nice
just a
stuff.
keeper. He's just a keeper. Like he didn't give a fuck about breeding. None of that. And I came from the goddamn rat race, the ball python world, where it's all about breeding. And boy, did he hate the ball python shit. But he fucked with me. So that's why I felt special. I'm like, dude, this guy knows all I really fuck with is ball pythons, but he wants to be my boy. So I was like, well, you know, put me in a weird place because a lot of my friends were ball python people, but I was not trying to be a part of that fucking race. I was kind of not getting bored, but I just knew I'm not rich. I don't got money like that. I can't compete with these motherfuckers. Like I don't, like people are getting taxed. I can't do that. So I was like, well, fuck, Forrest, what do you work with? And Forrest, God bless him. I know I'm kind of tracking here, but he introduced me to Joe Switolski. Fucking Joe Switolski is a, woo! One of those importers, let's just say that. And I have nothing against them, man, because I got to say half my chondros came from Joe Switolski, and they're alive. They're fucking doing great. But unfortunately, he's had a lot of other stories of Joe Switolski that made me just have to just fucking cut ties. But regardless, because Forrest, you know, all that happened, and I became into the chondro game. I came into the fucking emerald game. I became into all these imports that I was establishing. And now I came from being a Mr. fucking ball python guy to I only care about chondros and shit. I'm not gonna lie. I felt some type of way. I felt good. Okay. So having all this going into meeting and having this friendship with Forrest was like, hey, do you like, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? And I'm like, dude, I would fucking love to do a podcast. I was like, I actually wanted to ask you if you would do one, but I was afraid you were going to say no. He's like, no. He's like, well, listen, I feel like what I want to say, I can't say because who I am and what I have. He's like, but you can. Like, you could say whatever the fuck you want. I'm like, dude, I'll say whatever the fuck I want. He's like, yeah. He's like, because this is how I feel about this person. And dude, that's when me and Forrest would talk every night for like 3-4 hours on the phone. And he would just spoon speed me all this information. And I'm just like, my head's just growing. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. So our podcast has really fucking took off. Like that's, it all started because I had the balls to start a podcast with Forrest. Okay. Now Forrest passes away. Forrest dies, you know, rest in peace. Like I said, before Forrest passed away, because how anti-Forrest was with the ball pythons, I still had only but ball python homies for the most part. Chondro community couldn't stand me because there were so many fucking snobs, and I was calling out all these fucking people on Facebook. I didn't give a fuck. Hated the whole chondro community at that time. Now I love maybe half of them, but still, like I was like, fuck those motherfuckers. But again, I had Forrest right at that time. So, but at that time, Forrest is like, I don't want to bring no ball python people on. So all I have is ball python people. I call my snake room out there the trap. It's the trap because I used to sell drugs. Now I sell snakes. And that to me, I'm still selling something I love. Not that I really love drugs. Maybe I did, but
the comparison is insane.
It's apparent. Yeah, it's the same. So with that being said, I was like, I'm going to come out with my own podcast and I'm going to call it the Trap Talk Podcast. Trap Talk with MJ, right? Trap Talk with MJ happened. Boom. Forrest passes away. Boom. Desiree, his wife, takes over. Okay. She's now the co-host. The second episode, she's getting letters from a Bob Smith. Okay. Now, mind you, you could go to coldbloodedcafe.com and leave a review, or not a review. You can leave like a message box. Like you could send like, hey, I have a concern, and you don't even need to put a valid email. You could just put whatever and they'll get the message. Right. Mm-hmm. So this emails that they were getting was from a Bob Smith 29 at Gmail, not at Gmail, gmail.com. Okay. So it wasn't even a real email, but it was a Bob Smith. Every email was very influenced on how the podcast that Forrest and MJ started is amazing. I'm so happy that you're a part of it, but you need to get rid of MJ. Like MJ, he cusses, he smokes, he's trying to look cool. Like the list goes on, right? The thing is they kept coming. And I got to tell you, I didn't really know Desiree, bro. Like I barely knew Desiree. Like we would talk a little bit. Like she'd be like, hey, yeah. Like I would be like, hey, Desiree, where's Forrest? We have a podcast. Oh, he's on his way. Like that's how we would talk, right? Never really talked too much to Desiree. So I didn't know how Desiree was with people like me, meaning like I don't give a fuck. I don't know, you know, they run a multi-million-dollar fucking rodent business, Cold Blooded Cafe. So she sent me, and this is before I even know she was getting emails. She started forwarding me the emails, and I'm like, oh shit. And I'm reading this shit, and I'm like, who the fuck, you know, this is like, I would say I would have haters, but this is like, now they're trying to attack the person I look up. Like, whoa, they're coming after my, like what I feel like is making me relevant in the game. They're trying to come after me now. And I felt like the biggest support I had in the podcast game was Desiree and Steven. So when Desiree was sending me these emails, and this was all in one day, she sent me like 3 back-to-back emails. And I'm like, fuck. I was like, now I'm waiting for that email where Desiree's like, hey, MJ, I don't think we could do the podcast anymore. Like, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm like, dude, it's over. I was like, I cannot believe. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do a solo now. How are people going to think now? Like, why? They're going to think Desiree's not a part of this. Like, what am I going to do? So sure enough, all day goes by and I'm sick to my stomach, bro. I am fucking nauseous, Bryan, because I'm thinking it's over. Finally, Desiree writes me back, and God bless her. She was going through so much at that time. God, dude, Desiree, I love you so much. If you listen to this podcast, Desiree Minot, I love you so much. But she was going through so much, so whatever. But when she finally responded, she said, MJ, do your thing. Fuck this guy. We don't need his customer. We don't need his business. I'm not worried because what Bob Smith was saying in this email specifically, saying, I will no longer be a Cold Blooded Cafe customer if you continue to have MJ on the podcast. So that's, you don't
know who this guy is.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm not yelling at you. But it gets better. It gets good. So here we go. I get the email from Desiree, and I'm like, we're fucking on. Like, she's like, let's keep going. So that obviously crumbled. Bob Smith, right? But this got Bob Smith so worked up in his goddamn emotions that Bob Smith eventually got so upset that he said, fuck it, I'm going to text this person. I'm going to text them personally because Bob Smith actually has Desiree and Steven's phone number. They know them. Oh, they know me. I know Bob Smith. Okay. So time goes by. Okay. Obviously, the fake Bob Smith email didn't work, right? So this person got so upset where they start texting him. Shout out to Stephen Cush. Stephen Cush is like Stephen. If Stephen really wants to put things together, Stephen Cush should be an FBI agent. This motherfucker, he go to the whiteboard and he connects the dots. So this motherfucker, Stephen, mind you, Stephen is a straight arrow. Stephen don't play. Okay, Stephen, I made it really hard for Stephen to trust me and like me at certain points because how dangerous and reckless I would be sometimes. But Steven is my fucking boy. And because of Bob Smith, this is probably what made me and Steven best friends. I'm not going to lie. But Steven connected the dots, and Steven was able to figure out who Bob Smith was, okay? Because the motherfucker was not careful enough to be careful with his wording. The rants, the wording were identical email to text messages. Identical!
It's amazing.
But what and by the way, I will definitely tell you who Bob Smith is off the episode. The reason why I don't want to go public and tell you who Bob Smith really is because one day I'm going to have Bob Smith on the show. Mark my words. Bob Smith will be on this show someday and he will admit that this is not being made up. This was a real thing. And it gave me all the motivation in the world. You want to know why MJ's MJ? Because of Bob Smith. I don't know. I can't really say that. But that helped. That helped me a lot, bro. Like a lot. So
haters always help.
Haters will always
keep you relevant. Haters, you're not doing good, man.
Bro, listen. If you're not getting hated on, you're not relevant. You're not doing anything. You're not like there's nobody wanting to be you. Haters want to be that person. Really, really bad. God damn it. We had 7 different versions of one person in this chat right now trying to make a point. goddamn Chris Eaton had to take time out of his Christmas just to come and shit on the person. Like what the fuck? Like, but dude, the Bob Smith thing should never hold back anything because Bob Smith is a real thing. Like a Karen. You don't want to know what a Karen is. You know what a Karen is, right? So Bob Smith is married to Karen. Did you know that? They're married. Dude, they're married. That's what I'm saying. So Bob Smith is a real person, but Bob Smith is an energy. Bob Smith is like, oh, it's not just a single. I'm sure there's a Bob Smith out there who's really nice. Like there probably is a legit Bob Smith, but please, let's be real, okay? Bob Smith is a movement. It's real. It should never get in your way. Fuck Bob Smith to the day I die.
Yeah. Good luck with that comment.
Oh my God, look at disgusting. This people. That's a live feeding video person right there. He makes live feeding videos. But anyways, back on track. The story of Bob Smith, and that's the legacy of it. And with all that being said, you are going to get not only my new Trap Talk 2.0 shirts, but I do have extra Fuck Bob Smith shirts hidden in the back of the box, and I'm pretty sure I got your size. So don't worry, bro. I got you.
Right on, man.
Listen,
awesome. It's funny how when people tell you that you can't do something, oh, you're not going to do that. It's such a driver for me. It's damn near half. Like I've got a friend a golden friend who I grew up with, and he told me I wasn't going to move down here, and that was like wasn't the reason I moved down, but it was a driver. So if you tell me I'm not going to do something, it kind of lights a fire under me.
Amen, brother. And that's kind of like. I mean, my dad had that technique with me as a kid in sports. Like he would get me fired up with like a little bit of doubt. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what's like, the fuck's wrong with you? Like, and I would just want to come in through the clutch. But I kind of didn't really get to touch on where I was getting at earlier about how somebody didn't want me to have laces. Well, before I found out Bob Smith was Bob Smith, I was texting this person and he never showed showed any kind of bit of like jealousy or anything until I told him I was getting laces. And he's like, you shouldn't get that. I'm like, why? He's like, you're not ready for it. You're not like, you barely been in the hobby for this long. I'm like, why does that matter? Like, look who my friends are. Like, you don't think I've been studying and doing shit? Like, why does that matter? Like, I don't understand. And and then I noticed he unfollowed me. And I was like, wow, over a fucking monitor because I'm getting this monitor. So, and this, like, dude, mind you, Bob Smith was my friend. Like this was, and it's funny. Me and Bob Smith, I talked to him. Here's the thing. We talked about it. This is all like past shit. What I'm saying right now, like we've come a long ways. We've evolved, man. It's all about evolving. Listen,
yeah,
humans go through shit, bro. And the biggest disease out there is jealousy, man. If you want to know the one thing that will just ruin, you could be healthy, you could be rich, you could be have a lovely family, but if you have jealousy that lives in you, you're fucked. You need to figure it out, buddy. You you can want something in life, but you don't have to be jealous of it. Like, oh, like you're my boy. You don't think I want to be a fucking tree monitor breeder someday, but am I jealous of you? No, I'm happy that you're my boy. You are who you hang around with, Bryan. So you're gonna if you become more friendly with somebody that you want to be, or maybe become something where you vibe with them, then you might become that person versus hating on them. Like you'll never be that person if you hate on them. But don't stop hating me because guess what? Keep me relevant, baby. That's all I gotta say.
That's right. That's right. No, that's true, man. It's interesting, but. Yeah. I want to say too, it crossed my mind after I mentioned that about people getting into tree monitors and kind of saying like support captive bred. I still stand by that. I'm not saying for anybody out there who does importing that there's not a place and time for imports as well. I was just kind of like focusing on new people getting in. If you're getting into the tree monitor game, I still stand by and would suggest getting captive bred as I would with chondros. It's the same thing. And, but yeah, so people who are like having to, rounding out a collection, I have animals that are long-term captives that were imports as well and imports. So, there's a place for it, but for new people getting into the game. Yeah.
Now, listen, I'm very honest about this, been honest about this. I came into this game broke as fuck. I didn't have money, and I'm not saying I have money now, but I couldn't get certain things unless it was an import. That's plain and simple. And shout out to anyone out there who's in the same position. I know what it's like, but let's kind of talk about, and this is a wrap-up question before we get into these hot seat questions here. Okay, Bryan? But if anyone out there, right, is getting into the import game only because, like I said, man, it's not that they, I don't know, let's just say it just lands in their lap. They're at a show and they get their hands on a beautiful black tree, green tree, yellow tree monitor, whatever, but it's an import, right? What are the 101s with anyone dabbling into a tree monitor import? Like, how would you quarantine something like that? Do you need to quarantine it? Like, what are the go-tos? And while you're saying this, I can hear you. I'm going to be right back.
Yeah. Quarantine's always a good idea. Maybe if it, again, like, you know, people who are keeping tree monitors already, they kind of know what to look for, you know, with an import. And sometimes, you know, you're looking at photos online and you kind of got to roll the dice. But I would say if it's at a show or something like that, if you know anybody who, you know, has some knowledge on tree monitors, maybe have them come look at it just to make sure. You know, it's difficult to look at like proper body weight and know what you're looking at versus like, you know, you may have a female that had been bred and produced eggs who knows when because it was a wild caught animal, and those females can tend to have like really sunken in hips. So in that situation, it doesn't necessarily mean that animal is like on death's door. It just means that she could have laid a clutch recently. And lots of times, especially with the imports, you don't see that really bounce back until you deworm them and kind of get them established in their feeding for a while. So hopefully that is the answer. That answers everything.
So one more time. I'm just kidding. I mean, okay. I mean, one thing that really does stand out, and I don't know if there is a beginner tree monitor species, but if anyone had to pick and they're looking for like the best case scenario, what would you say out of all the species, what would be like the perfect beginner tree monitor to get into?
That's tough.
As I figured.
I mean, greens are the most like seem to like there's a good amount of people producing captive bred greens and they're at a lower price point. So that is a good one. Just right off the bat. And greens tend to be in general, like if you were to look at numbers, if you have 10 blues versus 10 greens, I would say the greens tend to be a little bit more trusting out of the egg, but blues, you know, and I sell blues, like, and they're one of the main things that I produce. And my blues have gone to many people who are first-time tree monitor keepers, and they are kicking butt with them. But it's not uncommon for a baby blue to be very shy at the beginning. But over time, months go by and you're feeding that animal. It's used to you coming into the room. It's used to you opening up the cage with that cup of crickets or putting food in there. They start to like figure out that you're not a threat, and they almost always warm up to you and kind of become a lot more trusting, as you saw in the video with the one on my head today. But, you know, when you get the babies, sometimes they're just a little bit, you know, shy, skittish, and, you know. But yeah, so I guess maybe a green just from the price point. But if you like the blues, you know, somebody told me when I do Pilbara rock monitors, and somebody told me a similar thing that they told you with the lace monitors, like, oh, you're getting into Australian monitors? Yeah, you should start with an Ackie. Don't get Pilbaras. And I was just kind of like, I mean, first of all, you know, I've been breeding and keeping reptiles forever, and I was like, yeah, okay, I hear you. I ended up getting the Pilbaras anyway, and I've been working with them ever since and producing babies, you know. And so I think if you are dedicated, you do your homework to look into what your animal needs, get the setup right, listen to the breeder, whoever you buy your tree monitor from, talk to them, ask them your questions. You know, if you buy an animal from one person and then you go to a breeder and ask them the question, sometimes I struggle with that. It's like, if you're asking, why are you asking me? You should go to the person who you bought the animal from. That's part of their job. They should be supporting you, giving you the information you need with your animal.
It really boggles me when anyone's struggling getting anything to feed, and I'm like, are you talking to the person who sold it to you? Like, I'm confused. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be this long to get this thing to feed unless the information the person who sold to you isn't working. But are you talking to that person? Most of the times they're not, and it's like, go fucking talk to them. Like, let them know. Like, tell them like what you need. And you know, I can tell you right now, especially in the chondro game, a lot of people don't want to look stupid. They feel like like, oh, I don't want to, like, what if they don't sell me a snake? Like, that's kind of, and I get that, but really, like, no, when you speak up and ask questions, it actually shows that you are like that you do give a fuck. The worst thing is when the breeder or the seller hears like it died. Well, how the fuck did it die? Why didn't you tell me? Like, that's what I understand, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like I think a shame that people feel from that, and I get it.
Right.
But yeah, if you're buying a reptile of any species, talk to try to buy it from a breeder or someone who's extremely reputable, and do your homework into that, because there's a lot of people who act like they're the cat's ass, and they really don't know much about the species. But do your homework, and don't forget to ask questions. Ask tons of questions, man. That's why you're giving someone the business. That's why. If you want to buy an animal from MJ should be giving you the help to support you, And
that's why, one thing I stand by, bro, is like, if I sell a fucking ball python and they ask me, oh, does it eat live or frozen thawed? Whatever the fuck you want to give it. How about that? It's ready. Like my fucking ball pythons, when they're gone, they are smashing. Yeah. That's how I love that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when people ask me, hey, MJ, when are you going to sell me a chondro? Motherfucker, when am I going to sell myself a chondro? I don't know that question. It's like, I wish I could answer that. Some people think I'm assholes, but I'm like, dude, I can't. Like, you're asking me a question I ask myself before I go to sleep every night. Like, I don't know, sir. Okay, I don't know.
I'm so sad to hear that about that clutch, man. I thought that was a solid one, man.
Yeah, I mean, but listen, the solid one is coming. It's coming. It has to. Whatever. Yeah. If not, I got my ball pythons.
Yeah, man. Fail forward.
Oh my God. Well, listen, hot seat questions coming in. Right, you've had hot seat questions before, right?
Yeah, I hope these are different, right?
No, this is a mix up.
This is 4.0.
This is a remix. Hot seat questions for Bryan Suson. Get the likes up right now for my boy. Okay. By the way, the likes are good. But coming in hot with these hot seat questions. You ready for these, Bryan?
I mean, sure.
Here we go. Coming in hot. Favorite color?
Green.
Favorite meal to cook?
A curry Indian dish.
If you had to pick, would it be a red chondro neo or a yellow chondro neo?
Red.
Would you do only one species of geckos if you could keep any species of tree monitors?
Wait, say that again?
So if I'm not mistaken, there are some different localities of tree monitors that aren't in the United States, right?
Species.
Right. So
most of them now are in. The last remaining puzzle piece was Bomei, and now they've trickled in.
And do you have that?
I don't know.
I didn't even mean to go there, and I love that I went there.
I don't have any on me.
Okay. But okay. You're a sick bastard. I'm gonna move forward.
I wish I could lie.
Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving.
Favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Stuffing.
Wow. With black olives or no black olives?
I hate olives.
Thank you. Yes. Dude, yes. My wife is okay. By the way, after this, I'm having an epic Christmas dinner. She makes the best stuffing, no olives. It's the best. I fucking love it.
You gotta get on. What time is it over there?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. You're doing it. We got to talk with this whole workout game that you're doing. Are you doing intermittent fasting?
Yeah. Fuck. Are you kidding me? Yeah. I don't eat. Dude, I don't eat.
All right. Good. Continue.
Yeah, I don't eat till 2 o'clock, buddy. I've been preparing for this all day.
Me too, man. I've been on it.
All right. Cool.
Running the other day in 10 degrees. 3.5 miles, 10, son. You got that in Cali.
Yay cardio or boo cardio?
Oh, yay.
Cardio or gains?
Cardio.
Come on, motherfucker. Come on. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay. Favorite fish?
Dude, I'm 40, dude. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm trying to get
swole, bro.
I'm getting swole too, but I'm staying fit, and I want to be able to do the shit that I enjoy doing until I'm in my 70s. You're going to be a guy up here who's going to change your life when you come out here. I'm going to introduce you to the biggest G there is. 75 years old and running triathlons.
Damn.
75 triathlons, like it's nothing. He whoops my ass.
Favorite post-workout meal?
Protein bars.
Yay pre-workout or boo pre-workout?
Pre-workout what?
Like do you do like pre-workout powder, coffee, like any, like you believe in pre-workout shit or no pre-workout shit?
I don't do any pre-workout stuff.
All natural. I love it. A sauna or steam room?
Sauna.
Favorite
Actually, steam room with menthol. If they have the menthol in that steam room, I'll do that.
What's the menthol? Is it like minty or shit, or what do you breathe like?
It's
like a Vicks?
It's like they're letting out a Vicks.
Damn.
That's the shit.
So imagine rolling balls in that shit. I'm just All right, favorite reptile show.
Favorite reptile show. Oh man. I'm gonna have to say this one. I'm gonna have to say Trap Talk.
No, I love you so much, but I meant like reptile show, like you know, Tinley, Daytona, like
Reptile show. Okay.
Yeah, my bad. That was great, by the way. Thank you.
There'd be a contender with the Gecko Pod if I had been on that, but you know, luckily Harry just reached out to me today. So if
okay,
Harry,
but hold on. Time out. I'm gonna have to pause you right now. Are you really mean that? So you're saying
I mean that.
So if you're on the Gecko Pod, that would be cooler than this, is what you're saying?
I'm just saying it would be harder for me to answer that.
But what would be the answer?
That's not one of the questions tonight, MJ. Next question.
Right now it is. Right. I want to know. Listen, I have a Sunday wrapped around the lizard world because I am trying to take over the lizard world, even the gecko world. Hey, gecko podcasters, see this right here? I'm taking over. So
you need to join up with the Gecko Pod. You guys got to create some sort of like dual. You got to create some sort of a dual thing.
You just created competition now because of your answer. I hope you're happy. Now me and AJ Davison are like fucking, you know, Bob Smith and MJ. I'm just kidding. No, he's not. No, I love AJ. AJ's my boy. I'm just kidding. Okay, moving forward. Here we go. Okay, word association.
Tinley was the answer to the show then. I fucked that up.
You're a little late to that, okay? I'm unfortunately a little late. Little word association. First thing to come to mind, FedEx shipping.
My lifeline.
Favorite chondro substrate.
Paper towels.
Favorite chondro species to breed or locality, I guess you could say.
I mean, I've only worked with designers, but I'd say Arus. I appreciate the white on them.
Stuck shed.
Fucking chondros. Poor drinkers. We got a chondro that just doesn't like to drink.
Prolapse.
Chondro.
Okay. If you had to eliminate one gecko morph in the gecko game, what would it be?
Probably, that's an easy question. Probably the super caps, just because they haven't done well. Cresteds.
Dalmatians.
Badass.
Thank you, dude. I think it was who's geckos who don't like Dalmatians. I was like, what's going on? He went hard on those.
Everybody's got their flavors, but yeah, Dalmatians are cool. They're cool.
Last question, and this is all on you right now, Bryan Suson. You ready for this?
Hit me.
If it came down to a thumbs up or a thumbs down, do I or do I not bring Harry Chan onto the show?
Oh, get Harry on there, man.
There you have
it.
Get
him on. Bring him. That's no question.
There you have it. Harry, and there's your answer. I'll be reaching out to you soon. Hey, listen, bro, we had over 70 people tapped in on this beautiful Christmas night, or I should call it Trapmas night. But man, what do you have to say, all your supporters out there? Listen, you're highly respected, bro. All levels in this industry, you're respected, bro. So what do you have to say?
I appreciate that. I'm humbled by that. I've got, I've been doing it for a while, and thank you for everybody who supports me and has anything to say. It's all love. And I also want to shout out to the connectors. I feel like in the past couple of years, there's been some people who have really been bringing the chondro or the reptile community together.
Right.
If you're a connector out there, I feel like you're a connector. US Arc is a connector. Brian Potter. There's so many people who are, creating things to bring people together. Morph Menagerie, Gabby and Brett. They're a duo. You got to get them.
Dude, no, I already have. Dude, hey, whoa. They're already locked. They're already on the docket.
Gabby, first of all, like Gabby is kind of like does a lot of the PR talk, but Gabby and Brett are a team unit. But Gabby is a connector, son. You want to talk about a strong connector. She has brought together at least the gecko community in a way that didn't exist. So kudos to Gabby for that. She's a powerhouse woman who gets things done. Damn, much love to them.
And you just showed some respect to the women out there, because the women keepers do need more respect on their name. I just want to say,
dude, I mean, there's a lot.
They're strong.
There's a lot of people who preach like the feminist stuff, and that's cool. But if you want to know a woman who really gets stuff done and busts her ass in the community, Gabby is she's a go-getter, hustler. She is a hustler. She is a G in the game.
I'm going to ask you this one last question and be honest as fuck. Even you guys in the live, who would want this? I can't tell. I can definitely not once a week. That's my schedule's too packed. But what if I did a once a month all women's gecko segment?
There is a lot of quality breeders who are females in the world of herpetoculture.
But power's everything. When
names, Gabby can give you names. AJ can give you names. Harry can give you names. Bryan, all these gecko people, man. There's so many good.
Do you know who Allie Ross is? Allie Ross is gangster, bro.
Yep. Allie's awesome. There's a lot of good women out there. Emily
better bite my idea now. Nobody better come out with it. I'm scheduling this shit after, like, tonight. I'm reaching out to some women tonight, maybe tomorrow. But yeah, this is going down. Okay, I'm gonna bring this shit together. But honestly, girl power, men power, keeper power. This was a great episode, bro. Thank you so much, Bryan.
Thank you.
I'm gonna catch you on the flip side, my man. I'll definitely catch you at Tinley. Am I right? March Tinley.
Yes, I'll be at March Tinley. Thank you for doing this show. Thank you for being a connector. And yeah, man, I love your show. I love your energy. You crack me up, dude. Whenever I'm listening to you, I'm dying.
Hey, so it's just because some of these people make it too easy to be this happy. Like what I mean by that is like the people who support me. Like honestly, bro, like as much as I fuck with you and you fuck with me, that makes me happy. Like that gets me energized. Like I have someone who likes me as much as I like them. So anytime I have a guest like that, it's one of the best podcasts I could have. So this will be one of many more to come, Bryan. Like you're multi-round type of guest for sure. Could even be a Thursday night. I mean, it was only fitting to have you on the very last Holy Lizard session of 2022. And that's a wrap for my man, Bryan Suson.
Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Trapmas. All right, bro. Hey, listen, my next mix is going to be even harder for you, just so you know.
All right. The first one was insane. The second one was nice too, but the first one had my heart. I like that disco funk influence. It's good, man. I love that you do that. House music is awesome to me.
All right, bro. Well, listen, have a good night, Bryan. Merry Christmas. I'll talk to you soon.
Love to you, man. Thanks.
All right, brother. Thank you. What a guy, man. And you guys know how I mean when I say Bryan, what a guy. Because I got to say, man, some of the people I love the most love this guy. And, man, what a great episode. Thank you out there. If you happen to tap in on this beautiful Christmas evening, Merry Christmas, man. Seriously, I appreciate you guys so much. Everyone in the live chats, everyone who had my back in the live chats, even though I could multitask. And you see how good MJ is? Like, I'll keep this shit like, yeah, Tito, and I'll be shitting on a motherfucker in the chats. I'm that good, guys. You cannot do that to me. It's not going to happen, especially if you're somebody like a fucking, I'm not going to say his name. Expose MJ. You shut the, bro, listen, take any screenshots you want from anything I said to you. Expose it. They already know. MJ's a dickhead. I'm a fucking dick. You don't want to go there with me. You go there with me, you're going to fucking get the wrath. I'm telling you right now. And you cannot match this energy. Especially the slow people. The slow people cannot match this fucking energy. Plain and simple. Okay, real quick. How about the respect on my name with some of the biggest people in the game? Yeah, you ain't going to match that either. You fucking stupid fucks. That's all I got to say. But back to the merry side of things. Have a merry Trapmas. Be thankful. Be happy. I'm going to go spend the rest of my night with a beautiful woman. My life is going to a direction that's going to do what? Make MJ go even harder. Sorry to say, but I'm not sorry to say, because this shit's going all the way to the fucking top, until the wheels pop, until I'm fucking IV'd in a hospital. But not even that. Even if I'm in a hospital and I'm IV'd, I'll still do a trap talk. Because guess what? I have done trap talks from the ER room. I'm talking about fresh out of surgeries, trap talk. So, coolest reptile podcast in the world. You guys have a good night. Be ready for tomorrow. I got my boy Adler. Add Dizzle for Shizzle. I want to tell you right now, this guy Adler, dude, what a fucking guy. This guy right now is going through a thing in his life where he needs to figure out what it is he really wants to do. I mean, he's a family guy, but man, a job let him go. But I'm not going to let my guy go. The reptile industry needs people like Adler. So tap in tomorrow. Let's hear the story of my boy Adler of A&E Foundry, Serpent of Eclipse. That's my dog right here, man. And he is the big influence. He is the creator of my logo. So we're going to be talking a lot. Tomorrow, new Breed on the Block series going down 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Have a good night, everybody. Please, if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to just support what I do, because I am not stopping. So if you want to help me, then go down to the very first link below and join the Trap Talk Patreon family. Join any tier. I don't give a fuck. Tap into the Discord and see what this is all about. And I love all my Patreon members, guys. Have a good night. Thank you, Bryan, Suson. This was an amazing episode. Merry Trapmas. See the top.